The 7 levels of Kung Fu. Level 1, Foundations. Every master begins with a single stance. The first level is deceptively simple. You stand, you breathe, you root yourself to the ground. The horse stance, the bow stance, cat stance, these are puzzles your body must solve. Your knees burn, your thighs scream, but this is where it begins. The foundation isn't about looking strong. It's about being structurally sound. A punch without a rooted stance is just flailing. Kung Fu teaches that power comes through the earth, traveling through your legs, spiraling through your hips, and exploding through your arm. Everything starts from the ground. But something deeper happens. While your legs shake, your mind learns to be still. Beginners rush through stances. Masters know better. A fighter who cannot hold a horse stance for 3 minutes will collapse under pressure. This teaches your nervous system to stay calm when everything hurts, a skill for life itself. Traditional schools layer this with ritual. You bow, you clean, you memorize forms until your body knows them in sleep. You cannot build a temple in the sky. After 3 to 6 months, you're ready to meet the first animal. Somewhere around this point, most students also learn an ancient martial secret. Clicking the subscribe button somehow makes training hurt less. Nobody knows why. The elders refuse to explain it. Level 2, Tiger Style. The tiger doesn't ask permission. It doesn't negotiate. It lunges, strikes, and destroys. The second level introduces you to raw, unfiltered power. Tiger Style is low, heavy, and explosive. Your hands become claws. Your footwork becomes anchored. Every movement is designed to break through an opponent's defenses and crush whatever lies behind them. This is not finesse. This is controlled violence with purpose. The tiger teaches you something crucial about Kung Fu. Aggression isn't the enemy. Uncontrolled aggression is. A wild fighter exhausts himself in 30 seconds. A tiger practitioner channels fury into structure. You learn to drive your strikes from your hips, to drop your weight into every blow, to move forward with the inevitability of gravity itself. Your conditioning changes dramatically. You spend hours in low stances, building legs that can explode or hold ground. You condition your forearms, your knuckles, your shins, until they become weapons themselves. The bruises become badges. The soreness becomes familiar. But here's what beginners miss about the tiger. It isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most committed. A tiger strike is terrifying because there's no hesitation in it. The practitioner has decided, and the strike follows that decision without doubt or second guessing. This level is training your intent as much as your muscles. You're learning to fully commit to an action, something most people struggle with in everyday life. You're learning to mean it. Level 3, Crane Style. After the heavy brutality of the tiger, you meet the crane, and everything becomes light. The crane doesn't collide, it evades. It waits. And when the moment arrives, it strikes with such precision that the opponent doesn't realize they've been hit until they're falling. Crane Style is about balance and control. You learn to fight on one leg, suddenly so yoga class doesn't seem so pointless. Your strikes become smaller, tighter, more focused. Your hand becomes a beak, targeting the throat, eyes, and joints. Crane practitioners don't waste energy. A well-placed strike to a nerve cluster can drop someone twice your size. The mental shift is profound. The tiger taught commitment. The crane teaches patience, the kind you need when waiting for test results or sitting in traffic. You learn to read your opponent, to feel the rhythm, to wait for the opening instead of forcing one. Your core becomes everything. You stand on one leg for minutes, breathing, becoming still, discovering muscles you didn't know existed. The crane teaches that stillness isn't weakness, stillness is potential. And when you move with absolute clarity. No wasted motion, no unnecessary flourishes. Just the perfect strike at the perfect time. Level 4, Snake Style. If the crane is patient, the snake is deceptive. Snake Style doesn't announce itself, it hides, it coils, and when it strikes, the strike is faster than thought. This is where Kung Fu becomes truly internal. The snake teaches that the most dangerous power is the power your opponent never sees coming. Snake movements are continuous, spiraling, almost hypnotic to watch. Your spine becomes a whip. Your strikes chain together in sequences that don't stop until the opponent's overwhelmed. You target vulnerable points: eyes, throat, wrist, knee. This isn't about brute force, this is about accuracy and timing. The real lesson of the snake is subtlety. You learn to mask your intentions. Your body moves one direction while your strike comes from another. You learn to use rhythm to lull your opponent into a pattern, then break that pattern with an unexpected attack. You start paying attention to your breath differently, learning to coil on the inhale and release on the exhale. The snake teaches you to move from your center, to generate power not from muscle tension, it's actually from relaxation and timing. It's counterintuitive. The softer you become, the more dangerous you are. The most devastating strikes often look effortless, which is exactly the point. Level 5, Style Combination. You've walked with the tiger, balanced with the crane, and coiled with the snake. Now you must become all of them at once. The 5th level is Synthesis, the moment the technique becomes fluid when you stop thinking about which animal to use and simply start responding. This is where Kung Fu stops being a collection of forms and becomes a living conversation between you and your opponent. Style combination isn't about memorizing preset combinations. It's about adaptability. In one breath, you're tiger driving forward with explosive power. In the next breath, you're crane, evading and redirecting. Then you're snake, flowing into a chain of strikes that end the exchange. The transition between these states must be seamless. Your body learns to switch paradigms mid-fight without conscious thought. This level demands balance, not only physically, mentally too. You cannot favor one animal. If you love the tiger too much, you become predictable. If you rely too heavily on crane evasion, a committed opponent will eventually overwhelm you. The synthesis demands you to read the moment and respond with whatever energy the situation demands. Combat isn't single-minded. Combat is chaos, and mastery requires the ability to flow through that chaos without losing yourself. You're learning to stop thinking and start being. It's the difference between following a recipe and actually knowing how to cook. Level 6, Weapons. Kung Fu without weapons is incomplete. The staff, the sword, the spear, these aren't just tools, they're extensions of philosophy. A weapon amplifies everything. Your timing, your distancing, your mistakes. If your footwork is sloppy, the staff will betray you. If your edge awareness is poor, the sword will teach you immediately. Weapons training is where Kung Fu becomes ruthlessly honest. The staff teaches range and flow. The straight sword teaches precision and grace under pressure. The spear teaches commitment and extension, controlling space at a distance most fighters never experience. Each weapon has its own personality, its own demands. But beyond technique, weapons training teaches humility. A weapon makes you dangerous, but also responsible. Traditional schools treat weapons with ritual and respect. You bow to the weapon, you care for it. You learn that power requires wisdom. A weapon teaches you to extend your awareness beyond your body, to feel the tip of the spear as your fingertip, to move the sword as part of your arm. When you wield a weapon with the same ease you wield an empty hand, you've entered the final stages of external mastery. You're ready for the last level. Level 7, the Master. Mastery isn't a technique. Mastery is a state of being. At the 7th level, the practitioner no longer practices Kung Fu, they embody it. Their movement is effortless. Their breath is silent. They don't think about what to do next because there's no separation between thought and action. They've become the principle they once studied. A master understands yin and yang as experienced rather than abstract philosophy. They know when to be soft and when to be hard, when to advance and when to yield. Their power doesn't announce itself with flexing or posturing. A master can end a confrontation without fighting because they've transcended the need to prove strength, and it's not from weakness. This level is about internal cultivation. The master has spent decades refining breath, posture, and awareness. They can read an opponent's intention before the opponent knows it themselves. They don't teach by demonstrating superiority, they guide students to discover their own understanding, knowing that true knowledge cannot be given, only awakened. Mastery is ethical restraint, the ability to harm, but the wisdom not to. The understanding that Kung Fu was never about fighting, it was always about becoming whole. A master carries their training into every aspect of life. How they speak, how they listen, how they face adversity, the dojo was just the beginning. The real practice is living with integrity, presence, and purpose. The 7 levels of Kung Fu are a map other than a destination. Every practitioner walks this path at their own pace, and some spend a lifetime at a single level, going deeper rather than forward. It's not failure, that's dedication. And if you're walking this path with me, go ahead, subscribe. Consider it the modern version of lighting a lantern in the dojo. Kung Fu isn't about reaching the end. It's about the transformation along the way. From shaking legs in a horse stance to the silent grace of a master, this is the journey that turns a fighter into a philosopher, a body into a temple, and a life into a practice.